This is the City of Sarnia's newly hired CAO, Chris Carter. I'm Katie Horvath, and I'm here today with my co-host, Corey Dillon. Corey and I wanted to take this opportunity to introduce the people of Sarnia to the new leader of the administration team at City Hall. Chris, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks again, Chris. Great to meet you. So as you are aware, the last term, Sarnia made national news concerning the conflicts between current Mayor Mike Riley and former CEO Margaret Misak-Evans. How did you feel about that, and did that attention hinder your desire to apply for the CAO position here in Sarnia?
No, it didn't hinder me at all. At the end of the day, I don't really have too much control in terms of what happened before or prior to any of my involvement. So with respect to what happened before I arrived or the opportunities that were presented to myself, I really can't comment on. My goal was always to look forward, think forward to the future, really help council, work with staff, and also provide the residents with a quality of service. That was always my mandate coming in and my intentions. I will give council a lot of respect and kudos for the interview process in terms of how it took place, how it transpired, how it was very rewarding through the interview process. So did I feel or hear any of potentially of some of the articles? Did that have an overflow to the interview process, or how I felt, or how I or when I met council? No, not at all. It was very professional, very strategic in terms of what they were looking for, and overall it was very professional and well done. But overall, from my perspective, I didn't really get too involved in the previous potential issues or topics of discussion. My goal again was to move forward, work with the current team, work with council, but most importantly ensure that the residents are getting a high quality of service for the tax dollars. So
okay, great. So on that note, there was a lot of division within the community as well. How would you describe your leadership style, and could you comment just on the challenges in the municipal world between the administrative and political sides, and speak to how you suggest that the two groups can work together productively?
Right. So my philosophy or my work style is open door. It's an open door policy where you can be open and transparent. The phone is always on, the emails are always on, the counter is always available for public consultation. In other words, we are here to serve the public. So why not have an open door policy? Why not have the opportunity where, or if anyone wants to come in and ask questions, be open and be transparent, have everything out in front of public, have public consultation, receive public feedback. So my philosophy has always been, if you're open and transparent and you have an open door policy and you treat everyone with the same level of respect that you would want to be treated with, then it should be very successful. And hopefully that is a little bit of a trickle effect that would happen to the residents in terms of how the service quality is presented. Overall, it's really customer service. Like, government is here for customer service. Any way you want to look at it, whether we plow your roads, whether we have drinkable water, it is a level of service that we need to provide for the residents. So coming in with an open door policy, open door philosophy, working with staff, allowing staff the opportunity to come down into my office anytime they want, before or after hours, whatever it is. As I said, through this entire process, even with council, with the public and staff, the door is always open, the phone's always on, the emails are always active, and anytime you have any type of, not even issue, because I don't want to just focus on the issue or the negative side, but anytime you have any positive comments or inquiries, whatever it might be, come on in, come see us. We're here to help and help to serve. So.
Absolutely. So just going backwards a little bit, tell us a little bit about your past position in St. Catharines, such as how long you were there, how you got your start, and basically how you moved your way up the corporate totem pole.
Yeah, great question. Always had a passion for government. I guess you'd call me, they always have those terms of rink rats or whatever it might be. But even when I was 14, I was working in, arenas and cleaning arenas. And so I've always worked in, I guess you'd say, a government setting in some form. Started off with Town of Richmond Hill as manager of facilities, worked my way up with the town of Horvath as a director of community services, economic development. Then I was asked to go out to Selkirk, Manitoba, Winnipeg, Manitoba area, out there as as a director and also acting CAO. And then I was fortunate to come back home to the southern part of Ontario. Landed in the Niagara region, St. Catharines, Grimsby area as CAO, and also with Niagara region as a general manager / deputy CAO for corporate services. So I've been in the small settings, and actually the small settings is where you actually cut your teeth. That's where you actually learn, because you don't have the personnel, you don't have the resources. If you're looking for an executive assistant, well, you might as well look in the mirror, because you're it, right? You're writing your reports, you're doing everything from the grassroots. And I was very fortunate to have a lot of mentors and a lot of people that took me under their wings and said, hey, this is how you do it, and have that leadership. Hence why I've taken a lot of their assets that I've worked with CAOs and embraced their leaderships into my roles. But I've just been very fortunate. I've just always loved providing a service. I love seeing positive change, and I love providing positive change for people that need it. And I love to see communities grow and flourish and be very successful. So having the whole, spectrum of running a government, whether it's roads, parks and recreation, water services, whatever it might be, it's very rewarding to see that benefit to the residents. And really, the residents are investing in me, they're investing in staff, they're investing in their infrastructure. Every time they pay their taxes, it's an investment, right? It's an investment for the current state, but also for the future state, for their children, grandchildren, whatever it might be. So the city of Sarnia can be the best city, I'll say, in the world. So there you go.
All right.
Yeah.
So as far as the role goes in general, what are the formal qualifications that one has to have for the position, and what are some qualities that you personally think make for good management?
Right. Great question. Experience, let's just say. And as you heard, I've been to approximately 5 municipalities, worked with small tiers, upper tiers. You have to have a variety of experience, and you have to understand the political side of stuff, because there is obviously politics. That's the business I'm in some regards. But most importantly, you have to have the experience to know, how does a rural setting work compared to a city setting? How does a lower tier municipality work? And how does for example, when I was at Niagara region, how does a regional government work? And having a variety of experience or levels of experience will make it very, very rewarding when you're working with councils and with staff, so that you understand how policy works in different settings and different atmospheres or environments for government. So the main key is obviously having a variety of experience, being involved in communities, but not just working in communities. I found everywhere where I went, I tried to live in that community, unless it was due to my spouse's job, where I had to kind of find out meeting. But I think there's only one municipality out of 5 I did not live where I worked. But you have to be embedded in the community as well. It's not just I'm the CAO for Sarnia, but I live an hour away. How am I actually going to understand the grassroots issues? How am I going to get involved in the day-to-day aspects of the community, positive or negative, or how do we improve, I guess you would say, those services. So it's not just understanding, having the job, it's also being part of the communities and growing with the communities and knowing their issues, so that when you are presenting new policies for council to consider, or you're managing budgets, or you're managing staff, you understand the grassroots of what the issues are, because you live it every day too. When you go home, you see what's going on at the local park. Maybe there's a playground that needs to be repaired, or there's a road that's damaged. So not only having the day-to-day operations with the staff, but also having the day-to-day lifestyle, livable, living in the community and being one with the community. So
being part of 5 municipalities, I would look at you as an expert. Obviously,
thank you.
That's a big background. How do you see Sarnia thus far stacking up to that, and in a moving forward situation? Can you talk about some of the strong points you see in the city, and maybe some of the areas that you see improvement that could use improvement?
Right. Areas of improvement, I would always say, for areas of opportunity, right? So I think every municipality has this issue, and it's infrastructure. So an area of improvement or an area of opportunity where we can start focusing on is infrastructure. So you look at your roads, you look at your bridges, you look at the pipes underneath the ground, anything that has any infrastructure. Municipalities are are at a challenge because there's only so many dollars. There's only one taxpayer, first of all, and there's only so many dollars to go around, and there's only so many grants that are given out from federally and provincially and from other conservations or associations. So the main focus that we're looking at, or I'm looking at with the team to present to council, is our asset management plan. And our asset management plan is really identifying, really our strengths and weaknesses, or you can call it the SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, threats analysis, in terms of, what do we really need to focus on and what do we need to start financing for, and how do we do proper budgeting for this. It's also our goal to bring forward a 10-year capital forecast so council can understand really what's coming in front of them in the next 10 years and how do they financially plan for it, not just for this term of council. Let's plan for at least 10 years, 20 years out for the future councils and the future staff that will be here. So I see infrastructure as an opportunity. It's everywhere you go, hence why the provincial government's asking lower tier municipalities to really focus on infrastructure, get their asset management in play so that we can start working together to really focus on those core services, because those are large tick items. When you build a bridge, you're 50 million, 75 million, depending on the bridge, for example. So, but some great aspects, and if I can flip this over, some great aspects are actually the people in the community. I have to be honest, I'm not just saying this because I'm being interviewed, and I've said this from day one. The relationship that I had with council through the interview process was amazing. The people that work in this office are so passionate and they just care about their job. As soon as I walked in, I was just thinking, okay, well, how does it work here, but people are just so passionate. They want to, show off their skill sets. They want to show off and embrace the community, what they do every day on an everyday basis, whether it's fighting fires or whether it's, plowing snow or cutting grass, whatever it is. They're so passionate. But also the people that I've met, they've been phenomenal. The residents have been very accepting, which is great. I'm just like everyone else. I just want to fit in the community. I want to, take my kids to soccer and swimming, and everyone's just been very, very, very humble, been very kind, and has been nothing but generous to me and my family moving here. So I thank everyone for that. But also the other associations and boards too that I've met outside of my work too have been fantastic. It's just been very rewarding, and the passion that the people have for this community is amazing. It really is, and it's everyone has different views and opinions, which is great, and that's positive too. But at the end of the day, the pride and the heritage and the history that goes in this community has just been phenomenal. And this was the reason why we decided to choose Sarnia and also to reside here as well. So.
That's great. So I was looking at the total budget expenditures for 2019, and it was upwards of $145 million. So you're at the top of a very large multi-million-dollar corporation, and sit very much in the public eye as well. So what do you do for self-care, being in that position and kind of constantly under public scrutiny?
Well, I also get scrutiny at home too, so I'm getting that twice here, with a wife and some children there running around. But anyways, really I guess you'd say my de-stressor is my family. I'm a family man. My time is when I'm away from the office is to try and just turn it off for a few hours. Hang out with my children, hang out with my wife, and just truly am just a family guy. That's our intentions. We're always down. Even recently we're down at the splash pads, or we're down at the bridge grabbing some French fries, in Point Edward, or we're downtown here doing some shopping or walking the trails. We're just a very active, family-oriented family, and that's really my de-stressor. It's my one focus that I have outside this office. Yes, I still go to the gym. We have a membership, at a fitness place, and that's a de-stressor in the morning. I usually try to go there in the morning before I get to work if I get an hour in. But usually it is 95% family. We are a very strong, tight-knit family, even with our grandparents. I call them the outlaws, so they're actually the in-laws. And they're from the London area, and my family is in Kincardine and Richmond Hill area and stuff like that. So we're just very family-oriented, and that's usually I guess you call my de-stressor. So, and I'm very fortunate. So.
Perfect. You've had the opportunity to head up many different teams and of municipalities. What do you look at as the key to developing a good team?
Communication. and again, I'll use my my after hours life. When I go home, it's how you communicate, right? I think the society and the world we're living in now, where it's all fast, it has to be convenient. It's like emails, we want to reply immediately. It's really how we communicate with each other, and it's how the tone we use and how we respect each other and how we deliver that message. But I think for any effective team building or working with teams and delivering a strong message is always through communication. We need to know how we feel, how we think, what's wrong, what's right. We all have personal issues at time in our lives. It could be a variety of things. So you need to understand how you communicate to people, because we all have bad days and we have good days. And it's just the core fundamentals that I bring is communication. Hence why I said earlier is that my door is always open. It's just another means of me communicating to let you know what's going on, and this is our next steps potentially, or this is what's happening in the community. But a strong level of communication and a foundation is your number one successor in that. So that's what I would recommend from my perspective. So.
We really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us and agreeing to introduce yourself on camera to the people of Sarnia. I just have one final question for you. So personally, what are your goals in this position in relation to your vision for the future of Sarnia and its people?
Yes, so the goal is to provide a high level of service that the residents are happy for from an administrative perspective, and to ensure that every tax dollar that's spent, it's being spent wisely. It's being spent in an investment, not just, as I said, for today, but it's for 10 years out, 20 years out. So really coming in and having, a strong, financial, I guess you would say, plan to how we really invest in the future. And that comes down to one other main fundamental, which is customer service, right? So if people have safe roads, if they have safe, drinking water, if they have safe parks, we have great firemen, great police officers that provide a health and safety, social services. How do we look at affordable housing and all those varieties? But that all gets achieved through proper financial planning, long-term planning, fiscal responsibility. So all that needs to be presented to council, and as I was saying earlier, coming up with an asset management plan, coming up with strategic policies, and even having a long-term vision in capital and operating and how we operate is going to be key. There's no point of doing a project twice. The government has learned, I would hope by now, and you do the project once and get it done properly and you move on. You don't do a project on a project on a project. So having those fundamentals in place and providing that guidance and that goal and objective so that council can make sound decisions, because at the end of the day, I just want to ensure they have all the information in front of them. We're open and transparent, so then council can make those sound decisions and really advance the city and give the residents what they deserve, which is a high quality of service and customer service for them. So.
Thanks so much for your time, Chris.
Thank you.
Welcome to the city, and we wish you nothing but success for here.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.